Software implementation is a risky proposition. It's estimated that 50% of software implementations fail, and certainly more than that fail to deliver the results that were anticipated. When it comes down to it, the reason for failure is not technology in most cases. The bad news, it's the people and the team. But that's also the good news, because teams, people, and great project management are also the reason that projects succeed. Welcome to the webinar, The Holy Grail of Project Team Management. I'm Bonnie Tinder, the founder and CEO of Raven Intelligence, and I'm delighted to be joined by two of my esteemed colleagues, Sunshine Brown and Mike Psenka. Sunshine and Mike, would you mind introducing yourself?
Sure, happy to. Sunshine Brown here, Chief Services Officer with HRMS Solutions. We are a group of practitioners exclusively to UKG that are aiming to be trusted, reliable, and responsive in our implementations.
Thank you. And Mike?
Yeah, I'm Mike Psenka, the CEO and founder of Moovila. We're a work and project management technology platform focusing on utilizing AI to digitally transform people's work and project management.
And Raven Intelligence is a peer review site for software buyers. We help them make a great decision in a partner and show them what peers are saying about a partner's track record of success. I'll be sharing the data that we have collected for over 1,300 project reviews written by customers today. So, Mike, the Holy Grail, that sounds like it's straight out of Indiana Jones. Can you tell us a little bit about what we mean by this term Holy Grail and really how that relates to project and team management?
Yeah, sure thing. And I'm probably more of a Monty Python Holy Grail than Indiana Jones. But I think in pop culture, a Holy Grail is this really difficult to achieve thing that's going to bring great things if we can get our hands on it. And when we think about a Holy Grail in work and project management, it's really about safe, predictable, accurate, advanced notice, which seems to be such a difficult thing to do. It seems like so many large projects are plagued with unpleasant surprises at the last minute that we're scrambling and working late hours on or getting burnt out and fatigue over. And so a Holy Grail would be a way to have technology accurately predict the future for us, what challenges we're going to face so we could resolve those challenges early, what resources we would need so we could effectively staff those projects. So once again, we're moving in a really comfortable, steady state, so life is pleasant.
Mike, taking the three things that you just mentioned in terms of hiring, scheduling, and workforce planning, those are certainly challenges, and when managed effectively can really lead to successful projects. Sunshine, I'd love to ask you to start us off here as a systems integrator and managing a team of consultants who manage projects day in and day out. What are the challenges that you face with hiring?
Yeah, so our clients are usually looking for a vendor that has a great product, right? And they're looking for people who are going to implement that product well, on time, and that are going to support them with great customer service. Now, as an SI, I can't really affect the product other than be certified in it. But what I can do is find the right people to support them through the implementation and after. But that is a great challenge, finding the right people to support these projects. So one of the things that HRMS strives to do is to find people who are system experts, who have been practitioners, who have great domain expertise. But the problem with that is often when we're finding great people who know the product and have great customer service, they are not professional project managers, right? And that's kind of like the triple threat, having a project manager and a product expert and great customer service. That's the unicorn we're all looking for, but it's not often what we find. And so that is an area where we have really been able to find success with Moovila. We've been able to use technology to kind of fill in those gaps and help grow them in their professional services project management skills.
So Mike, from a technology perspective, what is it that software can do to relieve some of the challenges that Sunshine just talked about?
So what technology can do in regards to the hiring problem is eliminate one key variable for the professional services organizations. They don't have to have project management experts. The most important thing for them is to hire subject matter experts. That's going to deliver the best customer experience. That's going to allow them to be efficient in their process. And trying to pair that with excellent project management skills, which they frequently have to do so they can manage the project well and manage customer expectations, really sets a high bar, especially in this hiring environment. So technology can automate a lot of the project management skills, processes, and safety mechanisms so that inexperienced project manager can look like an expert project manager. Quick example in the real world of something that looks like that. One of our partners, technology partners, Komatsu, they did that with bulldozers and excavators. You used to have 30 years of experience operating an excavator to be able to build bridges and roads and process. And Komatsu utilized technology to allow a much less experienced operator to operate at a very high level of efficiency. And so we've taken those same concepts inside of our platform to allow a really inexperienced project manager to operate at a very high level of proficiency. That just makes it easier for the professional services organizations to go, hey, we got to find the subject matter experts. Let the technology take care of the project management part of it for us.
And, what I would echo, Mike, is that, the most important aspect of a project is really the expertise that a consultant can bring to the situation. And, yet the project management hygiene, so to speak, is a struggle. And it doesn't matter how great of an experienced consultant that you have if the project isn't managed effectively. So it's great to hear that, technology can really aid in this. What I will say about the customer perspective on this is that the challenges with hiring rear their head. And, by the time that we see it, it's, the customer will say that they've had change during the course of the project on the team. So based on over 1,300 project reviews that we have analyzed at Raven Intelligence, project teams change 47% of the time. That means half of the time you are likely to have a change on the consulting team during the course of your project. That's a lot. And that churn is then closely correlated with projects that run over time, over budget, and then in turn have a lower overall satisfaction. This idea of churn is so real in 2021 in light of the Great Resignation that's going on. Professional services right now is the number 2 industry with turnover, involuntary turnover, according to the latest Department of Labor stats. And it's double that of what it was last year. And this is a huge challenge for consulting firms. SIs are losing resources because they go to a competitor and they need to onboard new employees. That faces, that is a huge challenge for SIs and, for then the customers who, hire consultants to work on projects. Anytime that there's knowledge transfer, team dynamic change, those are things that are really tough to get back on track during the course of a change. So, what I would say on this point of hiring is the best projects have resources that stay intact throughout the duration of the project. And then to both Mike and Sunshine's point, have a way to systematically manage the resource on the course of the project. So, in the inevitable time that a team resource does change, that knowledge transfer and the project hygiene can be quickly brought back on track. We all know scheduling, it's easy to have a calendar that becomes unrealistic. Sunshine, could you talk a little bit about the challenges that you face as a leader of a consulting organization in this problem of scheduling?
So we talked already about, the importance of hiring the right people with the right product expertise, right? That 100% is going to affect customer success. The other area, though, is, finding the right people who are interested in customer service, right? Who are responsive, who care about their clients, who want to see them successful. And often when you're finding those consultants, usually they are struggling with scheduling. Usually they're saying yes more often than no. They're saying yes before they've checked calendars, they've checked budget, and all of those things. And we want them to continue to say yes, right? But we want them to say yes effectively. And so one of the areas that we really struggle with is helping them to manage their time and helping them to schedule projects appropriately. What I found is Moovila has really been successful in helping us to, when our consultants are doing that, because they're doing it often, that they're able to immediately see, not later, but immediately see real time the effect on adding tasks or committing to meetings on the schedule that weren't there before. Both with the RPAC score, again, if it's we've got a bottleneck on a deliverable, or we've committed to something that there's just not enough time to commit to yet, and we haven't pushed out deliverables and such or met with our teams, the system and technology is telling them, hey, there's an issue, we need to take action on this. And Carmen, again, is making suggestions on how to adjust the schedule appropriately, how to have those conversations with the client in terms of, this is either going to push the go live out sometime, or you've got some, issues with some of your deliverables here, and to make some suggestions there. So Moovila is really helping us to be proactive versus reactionary, or worse, not deliver on the commitments that we've said yes to.
Yep. And as you mentioned, Sunshine, empathy is such an important skill and attribute of a consultant, and yet it's a double-edged sword, because that can also mean, saying yes too much of the time. That's great to hear that you really have a systematic approach to balancing that. So Mike, could you talk a little bit from the technology perspective, in terms of this challenge of scheduling? How can software actually help in this area?
So there are a lot of things that technology can do around scheduling, but I guess before I jump into that, I think one of the important things, and I think certainly Sunshine would say this, and all people involved in large projects would say, there are going to be scheduling problems. It's inevitable. Now, does it mean the project's going to be late? No, it doesn't necessarily mean it's late, but there are going to be scheduling problems, and the math is irrefutable around this. Now, the question is, when you have that scheduling problem, how much advance notice do you have? Do you find out that there's going to be a problem 2 days before the problem, or 2 months before the problem? So how do we solve this and give ourselves as much notice as possible? Because customer satisfaction is much better when they find out about a problem really early as opposed to last minute. The no surprise rule is what a lot of customers like. And the devil's in the details here. The good news is the information's already out there. You don't have to enter new data, but we have our personal or our work calendars and schedules. We have the schedule in the project plan that says what work we have to do and who's responsible and how long. But all of that data has to be examined every single day, multiple times a day, every time those tasks change, and throw alerts to let you know, hey, it just turned out one of our consultants has got to be out of the office because they're taking their mother in for knee surgery for 2 weeks. That just completely blew up, not just this project, but it's going to have a cascade effect in our portfolio. And finding that out early is critical. And computers are really, really good at doing that kind of continuous autonomous math if those data points are all connected. And once again, the devil's in the details. Swags are bad. I'll say that again later, saying, oh, they're on this 10% or 20%, 40%. That's not life. Nobody works 40% every week in a project. They work 100% for 3 days, and then nothing for 7, and then 120% for 3 days. So having that accurate atomic level detailed data gives you an accurate picture of where the scheduling problems are early. That's the key point. Finding out about problems early so you have the most time and the best way to solve those problems.
Absolutely, Mike. The more lead time on projects for preparation to, sort of insulate the problems as a result of change, the better. And, to your point, scheduling is both an art and a science. The science of scheduling says the scope of the project and you can identify the tasks and timeline to perform them. But there's an art that is more elusive that brings, sort of the reality into play. The art is understanding that, priorities shift, people change, effort estimates are less than perfect. There's external events like COVID and, all kinds of things that can put a monkey wrench in the best laid plans. And, really being able to guard against that uncertainty and volatility, that are facts of life is so key. And, certainly, the infrastructure that HRMS has in place as a result of the Moovila technology is so helpful in this area. At Raven, in terms of the data that we have, 38% of projects that customers review are late. And half of those 38% are late by 2x or more. 35% of projects are over budget. So, schedule changes are fact of life. When projects are late and over budget, it's closely tied with change orders and in some cases poor scoping on the project. 65% of the time customers will say that the scope was either correct or they changed the scope as a result of something that they didn't know about their organization, or there was external factors, or they wanted to accelerate a portion of the project, something like that. But it's this 18% of time that projects, have change orders because of requirements that were missed during discovery that really impact the overall satisfaction of a project. And so what I would say is in choosing your consulting firm, you want to choose a partner who has a background and expertise in your given software area, knows how to quote projects precisely, like HRMS, and really can very quickly adapt to changes, whether they be on your side or external. And you can easily, look at a track record of success for a partner. They're on time, on budget, sort of markers using the reviews at Raven Intelligence. Sunshine, thinking about workforce planning, knowing who and the team that needs to be assigned projects and anticipated projects. Can you talk a little bit about this challenge that you have, managing your area?
Yeah, so we spoke a little bit about a few things I think that affect workforce planning. I mean, number one, workforce planning is the 30,000-foot view of managing our business, right? So if we're not managing our workflow and our workforce correctly, we're not able to support the people that are working here. We're not making money. Our people are burning out. There's a lot of problems that surrounds workforce planning. So in addition to making sure we're hiring the right people, we're helping them to schedule their time accurately, we're helping them to avoid burnout, we're helping them to meet their deliverables on time, get accurate estimates and find problems. I need to, at my level, and the leaderships need to, at their level, be able to see the right amount of work at the right amount of time for the right amount of people. And if we've got a great amount of business, which we all want to have, we need to be able to see that early in the opportunity so that we can be hiring and training up the right amount of people. We also need to, like I said, make sure that if we have projects that are having scope change because clients are adding additional work, or we've got deliverables that are changing, maybe client needs are changing, which we talked about happens often. We need to make sure that we can see, I need to bring in additional resources to help a client, or if consultants are going out for knee surgery or something like that, that we're able to bring in the right amount of team members to help support those teams. So, I mean, our whole business is around the proper workforce planning. So Moovila really helps me and my leadership team be able to see and have good visibility into some of those areas, both as we're bringing in new opportunities, as we're scheduling the projects to the right amount of people, and making sure that the people stay engaged so that our clients are having a really great experience with the same team that they started with, and helping them take them over the finish line.
Great points. So Mike, this importance that Sunshine mentioned of having a 30,000-foot view of their business and the staff requirements that they have, how does technology help aid in this area?
So that visibility about what you're looking about, being able to see all of the information, once again, about what you're doing in your work and your process, so you can accurately manage your workforce. And I think a really good example, or a good, another example is sort of car manufacturing, right? So manufacturing in general, their biggest cost is the supplies to build the car. The biggest cost for a professional services organization is their labor and their personnel. Manufacturing years ago went to a concept of just-in-time, and just-in-time manufacturing meant that they didn't have to keep all this inventory, the carrying costs of all this inventory, just in case they were going to build cars. They wanted the inventory to show up right when the demand was coming in, not have those carrying costs, but also have it available as demand rose. They would have that inventory. And when we think about supporting organizations like HRMS and Sunshine, it is about making sure that they can do just-in-time hiring, that it's effective for them. And this is really, really critical especially for a professional services organization, because if they have excess capacity, that's going to erode their margins, right? So they don't want to have a lot of people sitting around not working, because that's going to erode margins. Conversely, they don't want to be in a situation where they have high demand from the marketplace and they have an inability to deliver those products and services because they didn't have enough advanced notice that they were going to have to hire those people. And especially in this hiring environment where we know the time to hire and the time to productivity is getting longer, because let's face it, we have a big supply problem right now around personal resources. It's just a big challenge. So we look at this to say, how can we help their organization get that best 40,000 foot view? And a big part of that is, once again, not using swags, but saying, what is the actual work? How are we modeling that actual work to see not only the work we have today, but the work we might get? So a big part of this is not just, once again, looking at the work we have today, but hey, what's in our CRM? What opportunities do we have in our CRM? And what do those projects look like? And can we model the capacity resource requirements based on the work that we've done in the past with those same things? So it's not, once again, not just about looking at the work we have today, but the work we might get. Because if Sunshine has 60, 90, 120 days notice based on their average sales cycle, she's going to have a better understanding to say, hey, we got to hire 2 database engineers, a reports expert, and we need another analyst. She also, being accurate about this, allows her to say and go to the organization, hey, in April, we're going to have a shortage for this role, but it's only going to last for 4 weeks. We don't need to hire somebody for that. We can bring a consultant in for that period. And that way, we don't have ongoing unnecessary carrying costs. So it comes back to this idea of accuracy. And I like that metaphor of just in time, which means the organization says, we have the right people, and echoing what Sunshine said, which is we got the right people at the right place at the right time. We're not overstaffed. We're not understaffed, because that's critical. Margins, these organizations live or die on effective margin management as they grow as a business.
Without a doubt. And the ability to, skate to where the puck's going to be as opposed to where it has been, really, that predictive nature and modeling, is certainly something that technology can help solve for. I would just on this point stress the importance of assigning the right resources to the right project. Every customer needs an A team. And you want to find the SIs and interview SIs knowing that, who you meet during the sales process is going to be who's assigned to your project once you actually, sign on the dotted line. And there are some SIs who are masterful at, assembling the right team, keeping that team intact, and making sure that that team is aligned with the industry and the needs of customers. HRMS, great example of that. And you can see all kinds of customer proof points of that based on their reviews. But that alignment and, the ability to, match the right projects with the right resources is both, science and art. And definitely for the best SIs out there are able to do that on a very predictable path. So, hey, Mike, there's an elephant in the room that I want you to talk about. Is the customer always right? And can you talk about, some of the obstacles that happen to be on the customer side during a project?
So, yes, Bonnie, the customer is always right, but the customer is not always on time.
Yeah. Okay.
So the challenge here, the elephant in the room, and every, and when I say every, I will say every professional services organization knows this, that frequently when there are delays in projects, it isn't because there's a delay on the SI side. It's because there's a delay on the customer side. And that can be a really challenging thing to surface to the customer. You don't want to tell the emperor they're not wearing clothes. They're writing the check. And you have to work. And if you go to the executive sponsor, you don't want to have to throw a person under the bus verbally about it, because you got to work with that person and that person's going to get complained. And in many cases, the customer just doesn't know that, oh my gosh, we had to get that thing done. So part of what we try to do is provide visualizations that are technology that make it very easy for organizations to deliver the critical path visually to the customer to say, hey, look, we're 14 days late. See that red circle on this critical path diagram? We're 14 days late on that. And that's because we haven't gotten sign off yet on that data dictionary that your internal team was responsible for, which is now going to push the whole project out 14 days. Just wanted to communicate that to you. Oh, someone on my team is responsible? Yeah, it's okay. We just wanted to make sure. And that's a non-charged way to have transparent communication about accountability. And once again, that can be a really big challenge for organizations because they don't want to criticize the customer, but the customer needs to know they're accountable and responsible, just like the SI, for execution in that. So once again, it's something everybody experiences, and we're trying to provide a way where the technology can have that difficult conversation with the customer so the SI doesn't.
So, Mike, I agree with you. I think Moovila does a really great job helping our consultants in that area, having that difficult conversation. Again, we spoke earlier that a lot of times these consultants are people pleasers. While they work on conflict resolution and management, often rather than have the conversation and point out where the deliverables from the clients are delayed and the issue that it's causing in the project, often they're more likely to spend nights and weekends covering for that, right? And that will end up in burnout and will affect our project. Ultimately, we'll have consultants that are just burning out and maybe not wanting to stay in the project. So my hope is that Moovila will continue to just give them a way to have that conversation and take away the conflict and make it more real and visible to the client themselves.
Well, in closing here, as we wrap up these three areas, final thoughts, Sunshine. Words of wisdom that you could offer maybe customers who are going through an implementation or other professional services firms dealing with these areas. What's important for them to know?
Yeah, a couple of final thoughts I have. We've talked a lot about people and technology, so I'll kind of stay with that stream of mind. I think obviously you need to make sure you're finding the SIs that are looking for the right people. And you can do that. I mean, people are, super important in this business, people who care and people who are going to implement the product and who are going to stay with you throughout the entire process. And I think Raven Intel is a great way for clients to go out and find what other clients are saying about the partners that they may be working with. And then in terms of technology, both from the client perspective and the professional services consulting firms, if you handle the people, then the next best thing is the technology to help you support the people that are implementing and supporting the clients. And Moovila has done a really fantastic job a couple different ways. One, helping us to be more efficient with our time, connecting a professional services automation tool, our project planning tool, Outlook, and soon to be Teams, which I'm super excited about. And then at the end of the day, for me, from a leadership perspective, it's helped our organization be more efficient with time, which effectively helps us be better with utilization and better with profitability.
Yeah, our goal in helping organizations like Sunshine's is pretty simple. It's really to help them eliminate unnecessary risk, right? There are a lot of unnecessary risks that people operate on. We talked about that. 98% of project plans, even those done by expert project managers, have dangerous fundamental flaws to them. So if we can help them eliminate those unnecessary risks and avoid that, that's really helpful because those can be embarrassing to organizations and damage customer satisfaction. If we can give them advance notice on any problems that they inevitably are going to face, we know they're going to be able to manage those problems effectively with the customer and resolve it to the customer satisfaction. That's really critical. And then the last thing is helping them operate efficiently as a business so they can maximize their margins and that they've got the right people in the right place. Once again, to echo Sunshine, so they can continue to grow and expand their business. Those are the goals of what we're trying to do to help organizations like Sunshine's be more effective and serve their customers more effectively.
What I would add in closing is that people are going to make or break your project. You want to assemble the best team that you can at the start of your project to ensure success. And when choosing a consulting partner, you want to ask the hard questions during the process about their approach to hiring, scheduling, and workforce planning. And you want to choose a partner that has an infrastructure to ensure predictability in this area, and certainly a partner who has a track record of success and can prove the results that they have, like HRMS. Thank you so much for joining us today, and good luck on your projects. Please feel free to contact us should you need any help in your upcoming digital transformation.